What's up, everybody? This is Clock Management. I'm your host, Justin, and as always, I'm joined by Perry.
Hey, buddy. Did you feel that earthquake earlier today?
I did not.
Oh, that must have just been you rocking my world.
Nice. I try.
Okay, good. Yeah, yeah. Saw your interview on the news.
Oh yeah, I'm kind of a big deal.
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
well done.
wore my clock management mask upside down.
Yep. Went out to vote like a good boy.
Yeah,
Good job voting,
thank you.
and got interviewed after the vote, right?
Right before, actually.
Or right before, right on.
Yeah,
Yeah. You had the clock management T-shirt on. You had the clock management mask on, but the mask was upside down.
yeah. And I assumed that the interview was to ask me about clock management. I figured that's why they were there, just paparazzi, you know. Turns out,
Mhm.
no, it was not, and they had no idea who I was.
It's nice. The masks make it so we can mingle with the regular crowd without being harassed. It's been a while since I've been able to be so free.
Yeah, be just a normal person, you know.
I know celebrity life is rough. Now,
Uh,
we had
Speaking
week
of
nine.
our podcast, though, we are doing a giveaway for it. An
We're giving away
autograph.
the podcast.
Yeah, the whole thing. Uh,
All right.
yeah, I'm done. Giving away autographed James Conner jersey. All you have to do is subscribe on YouTube, leave a comment on our videos this month. Every comment you leave on a video is an entry to win. One comment per video. But you can also listen to us on Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, everywhere there is to listen to podcasts.
Sweet.
Nailed it.
Yeah, we had week nine.
Yeah,
It happened.
week 9
We are
just wrapped
officially
up.
we've made it halfway through an NFL season during a pandemic.
Yeah. I wanted to bring up a couple of these week 9 games real quick before we get into the news, though, Perry. Some
Go for it.
surprises. I like, first of all, the Bills. That I felt like that was a pretty big surprise how well they did against the Seahawks.
Yeah, I mean, I expected it to be a good game, but I didn't expect them to win.
Yeah, and I mean, even though it wasn't like they won by 10 points, they had that game like in control the majority of the game.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell who was going to win the whole time, although it was a Seahawks game.
Yeah.
So you did know that there was a very good chance it was going to come down to the wire.
Yep. Then the Cowboys keeping up with the Steelers.
Yeah, man, that ruined like a lot of fantasy weeks, I bet,
Yeah.
with that game. Because I think a lot of people were relying on the Steelers wide receivers
The
and James
Steelers
Conner and
defense.
Steelers defense. Yeah, and I mean, Juju did fine. He found the end zone, but um, other than that, man, it was pretty rough out there. I mean, James Conner owners are upset.
And then who thought that the Patriots Jets game was going to be a more competitive game than the Saints Buccaneers?
Right. Oh, and I'm looking right now. It is now tied,
Yeah,
27-27.
I have it up. Yeah, we're recording this during the fourth quarter of that game, uh, because I mean it is the Patriots Jets. So
Justin brought up a very good point.
thank you.
If Adam Gase wins this game, he will be fired.
Yeah, the
Like,
the Jets organization will be like, we've had enough. You can't even lose
yeah,
correctly.
the whole like let Gase tank situation has been working great.
And
Uh,
also, he stopped calling the plays this week.
that explains it.
Yeah,
That explains it.
which I find hilarious that they're now competitive.
Let's see. It looks like Cam Newton got another rushing touchdown.
Oh,
So
thank God. I just won in a fantasy league. Thank you, Cam Newton. Two quarterback, obviously, just to be clear. I did not take Cam Newton.
I mean, you should have played Joe Flacco.
Right?
Clearly,
Clearly, clearly the elite quarterback on the field.
Joseph Flacco.
All right, you want to get us
Anyways,
into some news?
Yeah, I mean, there's not like a ton to talk about, right? There's all this weird COVID situation where players are out for like 3 days and then they're back all of a sudden, and I don't exactly know what the protocols are, but um, we do have some stuff to talk about. I mean, Christian McCaffrey coming back played very, very well. I mean, he was the Christian McCaffrey of old. I was not concerned at all about the ankle. Last drive of the game, though, injures his shoulder. It doesn't seem like it's a super serious injury, but it does look like something that might make week 10 in doubt for Christian McCaffrey. So
Yeah.
it is officially day to day at this point. So that means there is a chance he plays this coming week, but I am leaning towards him not playing this week. So just be prepared. You know, if the Mike Davis owner dropped him because CMC was back, go pick up Mike Davis. I mean, especially if you're the CMC owner. But Mike Davis is owned in like 80% of leagues still, so he's probably not available. Just something you should go check.
But yeah, definitely check, because I know a coworker of mine, I brought this exact point up to him today, and someone had dropped Mike Davis, so he picked him up.
Yeah. Albert O, tight end for the Broncos. He's the gentleman with the last name that I refuse to try and pronounce. I'll learn it someday. But Albert O, torn ACL, so he's done for the season. It sucks for him. He was becoming kind of an actual weapon in this Broncos offense. Moving forward, it's going to be the Noah Fant show. It already kind of has been, but he should see even more work moving forward. And Drew Lock seems to be finding some kind of a rhythm. It takes him a little while. He's not good until the second half, but there's talent there, and I think that the Broncos could be like a sneaky fantasy option in all these pass catchers. Jerry Jeudy, by the way, looked awesome.
Yeah, he did. And I mean, to be fair, they're also going against the Falcons, who love to give away fantasy points specifically in the second half.
Correct. Yeah, so that is definitely something to pay attention to. But I believe they have the Raiders next week.
Yeah.
Which is not bad at all.
No.
In fact, Drew Lock is probably a decent stream next week.
But Jerry Jeudy, definitely. Episode. Get him in that lineup.
Nick Chubb is designated a return from IR this week. So he will be back with the team. That doesn't necessarily mean that he's playing this week. There's obviously a chance that he plays. But, this could be just like when Christian McCaffrey came back 2 weeks ago and practiced a full week, and they decided to hold off playing him. But he could play this week. So Nick Chubb is back. For all the people, this Kareem Hunt owners that are really worried, I wouldn't worry about it. Kareem Hunt was actually better with Nick Chubb there. Kareem Hunt was fine, like he was serviceable while he had the backfield to himself, but he was better with Nick Chubb on the field. So I think they're both startable if Nick Chubb is on the field. So Kenyon Drake is still considered day to day. I don't know. I mean, Kenyon Drake comes back. Are you starting Kenyon Drake, Justin?
No, I'm not. He was terrible when he was on the field, so I would prefer to, if I have a better option, then no, and hope that Chase Edmonds takes that job.
Yeah. Chase Edmonds had 28 touches this week. It's pretty incredible. David Montgomery is placed in the concussion protocol. They don't play again until Monday night. So there's a fair chance that he makes it back. At least there, it's within the realm of possibility. But we all know how this concussion protocol works. There's 5 steps you got to get through. If you don't make it through one, it's not like you can just retake it right away, right? So I don't know. I don't want to speculate on the concussion and when he'll be back from that, but
those extra days do give you promise that extra day does give you a little bit of promise,
right? Cordero Patterson is somebody that we could mention in waivers, but he's not a super high waiver priority to me because I don't know what's happening with David Montgomery, and it's probably just a 1 week thing. But if you are the David Montgomery owner, this is something you should probably go do, is go pick up Cordero Patterson.
Yeah, they seem to love him there. They get him
Yeah,
involved way too much.
he's super athletic. He's really good, actually.
Uh, yeah, but he doesn't like the way. I don't like the way they use him in Chicago.
Well, I mean, if David Montgomery were out,
Oh yeah, different
I
story.
think
Different story.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's it, buddy.
Oh, okay. Well, that gets us into some news no one cares about. Uh, First piece of news no one cares about. I mean, I guess this is a twofold part. Dez Bryant showed up to the game wearing a Kobe jersey. The second part, I guess, would be that Dez Bryant showed up to the game because he did not catch a single pass.
Yeah, that was the news I didn't.
uh,
Yeah, I know. I had a couple of people ask me
if they should
if they should go pick up Dez Bryant, and it's just like absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I told everyone the exact same thing who asked me.
Like, I think Dez Bryant probably has a little bit left in the tank, and is going to be able to play football, but he is nowhere near where he used to be. And he's also with Lamar Jackson, who looks like a terrible passing quarterback now.
Yeah. Who would you rather have, though, Dez Bryant or Willie Snead?
Why do I have to make that choice? Why do I have to make that choice?
I'm just saying. I feel like that's a pretty tough decision, though, right?
Willie Snead.
Yeah, I would also go with Willie Snead, but and I don't want either of them on my team. So I mean, that's just kind of the point. Like, get rid of the name value of Dez Bryant. Like, and it's not appealing.
I don't want a pass catcher on the Ravens, and that includes Mark Andrews right now.
Oh wow!
Mark Andrews had 2 good weeks.
Yeah,
this entire season.
I know, but I mean, depending on what certain tight ends landscape.
I mean, in a 10-team league, wouldn't you rather just stream tight ends at this point?
Oh man, I don't know. I still have faith in Mark Andrews, but he has been. Yeah, he hasn't been good.
Been terrible.
Yeah,
he's been terrible, and it's probably not his fault. It's totally Lamar Jackson's fault. But
yeah.
Anyways,
all right. Stephon Diggs. Did you see his cleats he showed up to the game with this week?
No, I work on Sundays, man. I don't get to. I don't get to watch the games.
Yeah, Perry, you got to watch the highlights of stuff like this. He showed up.
The cleats?
Yeah,
I'm supposed to not care about it.
And trust me, you don't. It's he showed up with Dave Chappelle, Rick James cleats.
No, I care about that.
Yeah,
I care about that.
Yeah, they were pretty awesome looking.
Public service announcement. The Chappelle Show is now on Netflix.
Yeah.
And my wife and I watched a few episodes last night, and we watched the Rick James episodes. And
I still have the Chappelle Show DVDs from when I was in right after high school, and I still watch them.
So good. So funny. Anyways.
All right. Next thing. Vance McDonald on the COVID list, Barry. You didn't cover that in the news, so I got you in the news no one cares about because it's Vance McDonald.
Yeah. The Vance dance was a 2019 experiment that went horribly wrong.
Yeah, it was a failed movement.
Yeah. Our bad. Our bad, guys.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Awkward.
We clearly don't win them all.
Yeah. Neither does Vance.
No, actually he does, because they're undefeated.
That's true. He could get a Super Bowl ring still.
They do literally win them all.
Yeah.
So
I mean, he doesn't. They do.
No, true. Okay, let's move on.
Yeah. Please, let's move on from Vance. All right, Saints cornerback has simple message after shutting down Bucks wide receiver again. Better luck next year.
Yes. Yeah. That was really funny.
Yeah, Lattimore to Evans.
Marshawn Lattimore. I think in their last 3 matchups,
shut him down all 3 times.
2 targets, 0 receptions. 2 targets, 0 receptions. 2 targets, 0 receptions.
Yeah.
That's Marshawn Lattimore is winning that matchup.
Yeah, I think there's a reason why Evans did not respond.
Right. He's sitting there on the bus heading home like, damn, he's right.
Yeah, hopefully I do have better luck next year.
Got nothing to say to that.
That's all the news that no one cares about.
Right on. All right. Well, we got waivers, man. Week 10.
Yeah.
It's coming up. What we're like, what, 4 or 5 weeks now from the playoffs?
Yeah. From the fantasy playoffs.
Yeah. And it's kind of that time of the year where I start to think about, especially if I consider my team a playoff team, finding my handcuffs and really solidifying the depth on my team. Um, yeah. Do you subscribe to that at all? Do you start to do that as we get closer to the playoffs, or no?
Yeah, but also I start looking at matchups, playoff matchups, and
Yeah.
thinking about trades and,
That,
defenses.
that trade deadline is coming up quick here. It depends on everybody's league, but
Yeah.
also something to consider. Um, yeah, but I mean, honestly, if you're comfortable with your starting lineup right now, I hate you because clearly you haven't had to deal with injuries. But yeah,
I
so
mean,
it's just something to consider
I think
as
that's
you're putting in waivers.
I think that's me in our home league that you were talking to. I have
Yeah,
been very lucky and had almost no injuries in that league.
I got Christian McCaffrey back, and I was like, my team looked very good. I scored the most points in the league this week.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Man,
beat you by 1 point.
I saw that. Our in our dynasty league, I know I played my defense even though I had already won. I could have pulled them to secure the victory, but I still played my defense because I wanted to have more total points than you. And then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense got me negative points. Thanks. Uh, yeah. I completely forgot what the other thing was I was going to say. Oh, in a dynasty league, I forgot to put in Christian McCaffrey because I had forgotten I traded for him a couple weeks ago, and now he's injured again, so I don't get the opportunity to.
I lost in the dynasty league.
I
Darn.
have Dalvin Cook in that league, so I won.
I lost to a team that's 1-7. I like
You lost to
he
the Jets?
Yeah, he had an incredible week. Who won? Oh, he had Devonta Adams. Uh that makes sense.
Also,
No, I have
the
Devonta Adams.
Patriots beat the
Oh, he had
Jets.
Curtis
Perry.
Samuel. He had Curtis Samuel. What's that?
Patriots beat the Jets by 3.
All right. All is right in the world. Yeah. He had Curtis Samuel doing Curtis Samuel
Oh
things, so
yeah, yeah.
you know.
All right.
Anyways,
Well, let's get into some waivers, though.
yeah, I mean, we could start. I mean, how do you feel about Duke Johnson with David Johnson with a concussion? I mean, we don't know
Yeah, the next
what's
Johnson up.
happening. Right. Right. And it's really funny on a lot of places where you'll look, if you try and look at like, the stat line from last week, it's just D Johnson for both of them. And I was like, which one?
Yeah.
Which one? And yeah. So,
Yeah, that's
anyways,
hilarious.
David Johnson left. Good matchup against the Browns next week.
I've almost picked Duke Johnson up in a couple leagues because it lists him in a couple of the apps as D Johnson. I'm like, someone dropped David Johnson?
Okay. I mean, Duke Johnson, what sort of priority are you going to put on Duke Johnson this week?
I mean, he's a decent pickup, I think, until David Johnson returns. So, I mean, that is probably I would say probably my number one priority.
Number one priority is Duke Johnson.
Yeah, I like it.
And then, okay. And assuming David Johnson is fine, like we hear on, I don't know, we'd have to hear tomorrow
Yeah.
for us to know for sure before you put the waiver in. But if David Johnson's fine, say David Johnson clears the concussion protocol by tomorrow, which is highly unlikely.
Yeah.
um,
Then no, he would not be my number one.
Not number one, but are you putting a waiver in at all for him?
Probably not. Probably depending on who I have. If I'm able to move someone into an IR slot or something like that to make room for him, where I'm not having to drop someone, sure. But there's definitely people I'd rather own.
Okay. Kalen Ballage, a lot of people are really excited about Kalen Ballage's game. this week, but I did just see that they moved him back down to the practice squad. Is that right?
Oh, I was unaware. I did not see that yet. Man,
Let,
but
let me
yeah. While you
let me.
check that out for us real quick, but he balled out this week, and it's just incredible how every player that leaves Adam Gase seems to ball out. Uh, I mean, are are you going to put in a waiver wire for Joe Flacco, assuming Adam Gase gets fired?
Oh yeah,
As soon as he gets out from Adam Gase.
I want him to come back to Denver. Yeah, so he has been reverted back to the practice squad.
Yeah, so I probably wouldn't go pick him up then.
Yeah, I wanted to bring it up
Oh yeah,
because a
because
lot of
people are going to be looking for him for sure.
don't go pick up Kalen Balaj. There's so many running backs in this backfield. The only one you want to own is Austin Eckler. And there is a chance Austin Eckler returns this week,
Yeah,
probably next week.
and I mean
But
Justin Jackson. This was supposed to be a great week for him, and then he got injured on the first play of the game. Like that was so sad. Like it probably would have been like all the Balaj work we saw probably would have been Justin Jackson's
yeah,
wheelhouse. So
right. We talked last week about Gus Edwards, and I mean, I still think that Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins, for that matter, are still good pickups right now. They're guys that are guaranteed to get like between 10 and 15 touches a week each, on a pretty good team. And it's kind of hard to find running backs that are startable. So they're depth pickups for me, but I
yeah,
think that you consider Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins as long as Mark Ingram is still out.
yeah. And
Well,
Gus gets all the
back,
yeah, and Gus gets all that goal line work too. That's another thing.
he's the one to own, in my opinion.
I like J.K. Dobbins is the more talented running back, but
Doesn't matter.
yeah, but Gus is getting the when they get up to the goal line, he's the one who's gonna just truck it on in.
Right. I think my number one pickup, at least a running back this week, is probably Jordan Wilkins. Jonathan Taylor fumbled and literally had one touch for the remainder of the game, and he fumbled in the first half.
Yeah,
Jordan Wilkins was already getting a lot of work prior to this happening. Jonathan Taylor's got like this history of fumbling in college that is, scary. And they've got a really good matchup next week against the Titans. Uh, you know, Jordan Wilkins is borderline startable next week, even if Taylor, like, I mean, Taylor's healthy, so he's going to be on the field. But would you consider starting Wilkins?
oh man, um, I might. Uh, I think he's
I
a.
mean,
I just don't like their backfield. There's three backs back there is my problem, and I feel
and Naheem
like
Hines, I think, is almost a non-factor.
no.
It's
So I think Naheem Hines comes in every once in a while and steals some pass catching work from these guys, uh, which
well,
isn't a
I
huge
think
factor, but
if you're going to play Wilkins or Taylor, it's going to be a flex at that point, right? Like
yeah,
you're not. Neither one of these guys is a number two or not even close to number one running back anymore.
yeah.
So, I mean, would you rather start Taylor or Jordan Wilkins
So
as a flex?
I would rather hold on to Taylor. I wouldn't want to start him, but I'd rather hold on to him because I think towards the end of the season, I mean, I still have faith that he's a great running back and he'll end up with getting more work by the end of the season.
Not if he fumbles the ball. Right?
Yeah, right. Hopefully, he gets that under control. Which I mean, that
just
was a knock on him in college as well. Was
right.
he would fumble sometimes? So
Yeah, I don't know. Just Wilkins has been moving up further and further into this workload, and yeah, I mean, I would be willing to flex Jordan Wilkins in a lot of situations, going forward.
I would rather put in this next guy like for this week than Wilkins, and it's gross.
Yeah, who is that?
It's Wayne Gallman. Uh,
Yeah,
it's gross. He's the third running back for the New York Giants. But obviously Saquon's out. Devonta Freeman's been out
right.
with the ankle injury. We don't know for sure that he'll be out next week. But if he is, I mean, Wayne Gallman against the Philadelphia defense is not a bad play.
Yeah, you're probably right there. I just hate owning a giant. You
Oh,
know what I mean?
it's like owning a jet.
Yeah, I get so worried about them going down early in a game and there just being zero opportunity, you know. And he only got 14 carries this last game, and he's like the only running back that's left.
I know.
And it's just like, I mean, 14 carries, I get it. That you're happy that's usually fine. But
Well,
it's
I
also,
mean, it was for him this week because he got found the end zone. He had almost 70 yards rushing. So,
yeah. I mean, if he had not found the end zone, I think you're upset.
I mean,
At
I'm upset either way that I'm in a position I have to start Gallman. But
right. I guess he has scored in 3 straight games. So, um, yeah, I don't know. If Freeman comes back, I'm unwilling. I would rather have Wilkins than
yeah, I
Gallman.
agree with you. If Freeman comes back, I'd rather start Wilkins. But if not, I like Gallman more this week.
Right. Well, let's jump into some wide receivers.
Let's do it. Um,
I'm not buying into this one, but
yeah, me neither.
talk
But let's talk about him.
talk me into it.
Well, I just said me neither. I like
Not
this
you.
next one more actually. Um, all right, so
Talk me into Curtis Samuel.
I mean Curtis Samuel is an elite talent, Perry. No, okay, he's not, but he's really fast.
Right.
Uh, and he's a versatile wide receiver. So I mean, I think he gets opportunities that you don't see from other wide receivers. Sometimes they'll even run the ball with him. And last week he got targeted a bunch. And honestly, I think part of that was with McCaffrey coming back, they were able to, keep the defense had to come up to stop McCaffrey, which allows people like,
Which didn't work.
yeah, Curtis, yeah, because it's impossible to stop McCaffrey.
Right.
But it allows people like Curtis Samuels to get behind the defense when they have to do stuff like that. And
Samuel.
yeah, whatever. And he's like I said, super fast, so he's going to get behind there. It's not a player I want to play week in and week out. Robbie Anderson is still the wide receiver 1 there. DJ Moore is still the wide receiver 3 behind Curtis Samuel.
DJ was droppable, right?
Man, he is
Me.
he is fringe droppable to me.
I mean, he's just wasting a bench spot right now, and on so many teams, he's been
Yeah,
terrible.
he's on my team. I know.
Drop him, man.
Yeah,
I would pick him up. I
uh,
promise.
but so if I do drop him this week, uh, one of the guys I would consider picking up for him is
Hmm.
Sterling Shepard. Uh,
Yeah.
Sterling Shepard, I, I feel like it's the third. I believe this is third year in the NFL, and he's finally starting to find his own. He just took a little bit more to develop than most wide receivers.
Yeah. I mean, 8.7 targets per game right now is, man. I'm not expecting like wide receiver 1
No,
numbers during Shepard like
I mean
ever. I just don't think the offense is good enough.
yeah, he plays for the Giants, but I mean,
But I think you're right.
yeah,
And the matchups in the next 3 weeks.
he has
Bear-
some great matchups.
Eagles, Bengals, Seahawks in the next 3 weeks.
And
Sterling Shepard's a really good pickup. I agree.
yeah, and he's like he gets it's not just that he's getting those targets too. He's getting those targets because he's beating these defensive backs. Like he's getting open. He's doing what Slayton did last year, which Slayton's getting all this attention now, which helps Sterling Shepard. But that does the actual X's and O's don't matter for fantasy. It's the points at the end of the game, the stat line. So I think Sterling Shepard is actually a better own right now than Slayton.
Yeah. What about this next guy, Jalen Reagor?
Uh,
Jalen
so
Reagor returned last week and played very well.
yeah, that I believe we talked about him last week on picking him up. I can't remember for sure, but definitely this is a guy that I would like to own because it's similar to me. This is similar to a McLaurin or something like that, where it's a bad team, but they're going to be playing from behind a lot. So when you're playing from behind, you have to throw the ball, and like McLaurin, he is the only target on this team. He's the only wide receiver.
Travis Fulgham.
That's all. Yeah, that's true. He's not the only target. Fulgham has emerged.
I think Travis Fulgham might be the number one wide receiver on this team.
Yeah, I would. That's true, but there's definitely enough room for Reagor to still eat.
Yes, I think I'm very excited. Not this year, but for 2021, I think Carson Wentz will finally have two good young wide receivers to throw to, in Travis Fulgham and Jalen Reagor.
Yeah.
I want shares of these guys in dynasty leagues.
Now, the real question will be, will he be able to target them? Because will he be on the field?
Right. Carson Wentz has played better than I've given him credit for.
No, I don't mean just from his performance. I mean staying healthy.
Well, that's the offensive line. I think it's same vein of conversation. You know, it's like, I think he's played fine. The offensive line just lets him down every drop back.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, he can't stay healthy if he's getting hit as many times as he is. So, but, I mean, if they address the offensive line in the offseason, there's a lot of talent on this team, actually.
Yeah,
definitely.
And I want to point out, too, like at the beginning of the season, I know we're both fond of going running back heavy at the beginning of the draft. And this is kind of why I feel like the last wide receiver with Sterling Shepard, Jalen Reagor, I feel like both these guys are guys that you can actually use compared to like those running backs we were talking about on the waiver wire, who you don't want to be in situations using most of them. And even this next guy I like too, who is on the waiver wire in a lot of leagues.
You love this guy. I got to let you talk about it.
Yeah, Allen Lazard. I mean, he's the number 2 wide receiver for Green Bay. And Aaron Rodgers has not been letting us down. He's been balling out this season. So he's coming back from IR. Should be, I believe it's this week. He's not officially off of IR yet, but it should be this week, or if not, the following week. And whoever is the number 2, when you have a clear number 2 wide receiver for Green Bay, you want to own that wide receiver. I mean,
yeah. And before people started talking about MVS, Aaron Rodgers is frustrated with MVS.
Yeah,
I mean,
you see it when he stares him down.
Yes. I mean, I know MVS had a great week, right? 2 touchdowns on Thursday, but yeah, he is the number 3 wide receiver, clearly. I think that with Lazard there, it will actually open up more for MVS, but Lazard will be better, right? I think all 3 wide receivers will improve. Devontae Adams might go worse, actually, just because there's going to be another competent wide receiver there to throw to. But
yeah, and if they open the field up more for MVS, I mean, then the defender can be even further away when he drops the wide open pass.
Good one. Nice burn. Burn, bro.
Yeah, take that, MVS.
All right, let's jump ahead here to Tim Patrick, wide receiver for the Broncos. I mean, he's played fairly well this season. He just returned from his hamstring injury. He's pretty low on the waiver priority for me, but I think it's somebody in like a dynasty league that's worth a stash. You know, we've talked about, I mean, we are both very excited for this Broncos offense coming into the season.
Yeah.
Hasn't exactly panned out. I think they've suffered a lot from injuries. Drew Lock getting hurt early on in the season, and them having to bounce between all these terrible quarterbacks definitely slowed things down. But you know, I want a piece of this offense going into next year, assuming everybody's healthy. So Tim Patrick's somebody just to consider in these dynasty leagues. If you're just looking for somewhere to put your waiver, and Tim Patrick's available, I would consider that.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, this might be my actual number one waiver priority over the whole week, but I think he's owned in quite a few leagues. That's Darnell Mooney.
Nice. I'm glad that
Yeah.
I've been loving Darnell Mooney.
Yeah, Darnell Mooney is very good. He only had 43 yards, but he had 5 catches this week. He also had 11 targets. Like, that's the key.
Yeah.
11 targets. I love that. Nick Foles is just kind of bad, so that's why he didn't get a lot of catchable balls. But yeah, I mean, he's playing the Vikings next week. Darnell Mooney is a start next week for me.
Yeah.
If you own Darnell Mooney, find a way to start him because I think that he's going to tear the Vikings up.
Oh, who would you rather start? Oh, well, I mean, you did say he's your number one, so you're saying you would rather start him over Rager?
Yes. Yeah. Jalen Rager.
What about Lazard if Lazard's back?
I would start Mooney.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's close with Lazard, but Lazard coming back from the injury, we don't know like what his workload is going to be in his first game back.
That's all.
You know, he might only see like 50% of the snaps or something like that. Yeah, and then Mooney against the Vikings. I mean, the matchup's very, very good.
Yeah, it
Vikings worst team against wide receivers in the league this season. So
yeah, and I know this past week Vikings had 3 defensive backs out. I mean, obviously the injury reports are not out yet, so I don't know if they will continue to miss time. But if so, that's great for any receiver going against that defense.
right.
I want to bring up another guy though. Not so much that I think he should be in your waivers, just I think that you should be aware of him because he'll probably pop up high on a lot of people's priority if you're just looking at available players. And that's Richie James Jr. from the 49ers. He's a wide receiver right now. He is sometimes a running back, but right now he's a wide receiver. And he had 184 yards and a touchdown on 13 targets last week.
My take on Richie James Jr. is that their entire wide receiver core was on the COVID list, and I'm not going to go pick him up.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And that's the point I wanted to make, because with 184 yards and a touchdown, he's going to pop, you look at the points from last week, he's going to be up in the top of available players on those points.
Right.
So do not fall into that trap. Brandon Ayuk is back. Like their entire wide receiver core is back. Kendrick Bourne, you're going to see Richie James drop back into obscurity.
Right. Austin Hooper. Let's talk about some tight ends. Austin Hooper coming back from the injury on bye this week, right? The Browns were on bye this week, so they're coming off bye. I expect him to be back after the surgery for the appendectomy, and they're playing Houston this coming week. I think it's a great matchup for Austin Hooper.
Definitely.
He's going to be the one tight end on this team. Tight end is really ugly, basically, unless you own Travis Kelce. Like, honestly, even like guys like Darren Waller right now are like, great. Yeah, you start him every week, but he is not like winning you games every week.
Yeah.
The only guy that is Travis Kelce. So Austin Hooper, I think if you're somebody like me who I'm trying to stream tight ends every week right now because I don't have the guy. I tried to stream Robert Tonyan last week to do the Aaron Rodgers stack and did not work out whatsoever. So I'm going to consider streaming Austin Hooper this week on the Browns, and I think a lot of other people should as well.
Yeah, I like. Hooper I think is a great. If you're going to the waiver wire for a tight end, I think Hooper's a great option.
Yeah, no doubt. Jordan Reed. What about Jordan Reed?
So I'm still not interested in Jordan Reed. Again, I still believe that Dwelly is the tight end to own for San Francisco if you're choosing one of them. Jordan Reed coming off of IR for the 20th time in his career is not a promising stat for me. I actually don't know if it is 20 times, but it's believable with Jordan Reed.
Yeah, I'm with you on Dwelly. I think I would rather have Dwelly. The tight end's really important for this team. Um, but I think part of the reason it's so important is because um, uh, their run game is like so key
Yeah.
to winning for them, and they need a tight end that can go out there and block really well. And I don't think that that's Jordan Reed.
Yeah.
I think
It's
it's Dwelly.
yeah, it's never been Jordan Reed's strong suit.
Right. And I think that's Dwelly. And so I think they'd rather have Dwelly on the field because it helps open up the run game more for them, which is how they really want to win games.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was really hard for me to even follow. I'm very tired.
Yeah, let's skim through a couple more of these tight ends real quick. Jimmy Graham's also out there.
Mm-hmm.
For Jimmy Graham, you're going for those touchdowns. You know, last week he got 55 yards and a touchdown, and that's been this season for him. Like, you grab Jimmy Graham hoping for a touchdown.
Yeah, it's somebody in the exact same category as Irv Smith Jr. Clearly they're going to get down to the goal line and want to give that ball to Dalvin Cook as much as they can.
Which of those
But
two would you rather own?
I think I would rather own Jimmy Graham.
Yeah, I agree
Just
with that.
with Dalvin Cook. I think Dalvin Cook is. I'm not blaming the team here. I think Dalvin Cook on the goal line is a very sure thing almost, but so does every defense that's playing them. And so the action with Irv Smith, rolling off a block for a touchdown, which is what happened this week twice. So
Yeah.
and then let's look at some quarterback matchups real quick, Justin. Talk about some streaming options at quarterback.
I want to bring up one more, and that's my guy Trey Burton down here. Mo Alley Cox is injured. If Mo Alley Cox misses any time, I think Trey Burton's a good start.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know. And tight ends are so rough. So rough.
Yeah, Phillip Rivers loves throwing to the tight end.
He does. He does. Well, I mean, when you have Antonio Gates for almost your entire career, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and I mean, he also can't throw the football 30 yards to save his life, so the tight end's usually a good target.
Okay, so let's pull up the schedule, Justin, and talk about some possible streaming options for next week at quarterback. Do you have anybody in mind right off the top of your head?
I mean, one that's kind of intriguing to me is Tua looked pretty good this week.
Yeah, and against the Chargers, who haven't looked that great.
Yeah, and Tua, week one, Tua did, almost nothing. He didn't really need to. Defense and special teams won that game for him, and their defense has looked a lot better. But then this week, he actually looked pretty good, so I think that's an intriguing one for me.
I like Carson Wentz against the Giants. I think that's a decent stream. I mentioned the Broncos against the Raiders, so Drew Lock would be a pretty decent stream this week. And then Jared Goff against the Seahawks.
Yeah,
is probably a really good stream this week. Probably my number one stream of the week.
And then Tom Brady against the Panthers after everyone's going to drop Tom Brady after this week.
Yeah, I would bet that Tom Brady is pissed. So Tom Brady against the Panthers is a pretty good stream, but I think Tom Brady's probably owned by a lot of people.
Yeah.
Might be dropped after this really bad week. So just pay attention to that if you're starving for a quarterback.
Yeah, if someone drops him, go grab him.
Right. And then
Baker's not a bad one either against the Texans.
Yeah, I agree. Any obvious DSTs to stream this week for you, Justin?
Oh, if CMC's not playing, the Buccaneers, again, that's a defense people may drop after this week. They got negative points. So that's a decent one.
I would be so surprised if they got dropped. That would just be terrible. Terrible play.
People are reactionary here.
Right. That's true. Possibly Dolphins against the Chargers.
Yeah, that's another one I was going to bring up.
Dolphins are a good team, surprisingly, right? And then what about the Packers against the Jaguars? The Packers don't have that great of a defense, but the Jaguars are pretty bad.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good one. And I mean, this one is not almost. I mean, I doubt it's available in your league, but the Saints defense against the 49ers this week.
Yeah. Saints defense might be available. I drafted the Saints defense personally, and they were pretty disappointing to start the season. And I dropped them, but ended up finding the Steelers on waivers,
Yeah,
so
that worked
that worked.
out. But yeah, the
And
the Saints against the Niners this week. I mean, the Niners
yeah,
they're probably going. They have inexperienced quarterback that's probably going to turn the ball over.
right. Okay.
All right,
Well,
that wraps up the show.
yeah, we'll be back a little later in the week with some start sit. Please, if you have any start sit questions, post them in the comments. Posting that start sit question will A, get it answered, and B, get you entered to win a jersey. So
Yeah,
that's pretty.
yeah. So go ahead and do that.